All right, so here is what I'm going to be doing. What I'm going to make is something similar, very similar to this. This is just a little bit of an earlier version, but this is a 30-inch long version, and there's different holes, and I was trying out different things, and I made some changes to it. But basically, the infrastructure is going to be similar, and it's made of 1x2 channel. It'd be, sometimes I think they call it C channel, but I think that's redundant anyhow. So it's channel steel, and then in between there would be a 2-inch by 2-inch. And this one is a 2-inch by 2-inch. And some of them I went to a wider board, and most of them now I'm going to go to hardwood on the inside. This is a piece of white cedar. So anyhow, but these are the things that are needed, the parts that are needed to make one of these. And so to go over the list is I need two 1x2 channel. These are 1/8 inch. You can use 3/16. It won't make any difference other than they'll be a lot heavier, a little more drilling. So those are two of those at 30 inches long. I need a 2-inch by 2-inch by 30-inch hardwood, and that one happens to be some older red oak that I had around. I trimmed her down. We're going to need some of this, and I don't have enough right now. I'll be picking some more up tomorrow, but this is purchased in 36-inch to 48-inch length. It's 12 gauge, perforated, and but again, the 12 gauge to me is really important. There's a lot of it out there that's 14 gauge and 16 gauge, and I don't think that's going to hold up. So this I'm going to cut into 4-inch pieces, but you can also buy some of that type of stuff already cut up. And then I'm fortunate enough to have a metal cutting bandsaw, so that makes it pretty easy. There are other options I'll cover as far as what you can use instead of that. So material wise, that's really it. Now hardware, to make this one, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to have 6 vice or clamps. And so I'm showing a little bit shy here. We'll need 12 of these, but they're basically 6-inch bolts that are 5/16 by 16, or by 6 rather. Those are going to be for part of our clamps. You'll see how those work later. And then we're going to bolt this together, these two pieces with this in between, just like I did here on this one. And you can see that there's those bolts in there. And so that's basically what these are for. I might go to hex, but anyways, it's 3 of those and the nuts that go with them, and some washers would probably be a good idea, but not necessary. And then the length will vary a little bit on those. I'll explain that later. So that's the hardware. And then the other things that we'll need would be some tools. And at one point, if we're using these types of bolts, they have a 3/16 head on them, so our 3/16 or Allen. So I have a 3/16 wrench, the T-type. Those things are pretty handy. I'll have a 1/2-inch socket. This could be the other type of ratchet as well. We're going to need that, and then eventually I'll want to spray paint them. And I've been using this clear stuff, the Rust-Oleum clear, and I spray it right onto both the metal and the wood. And some of those that I've done, other ones, oh boy, they were really turn out nice. It actually works out pretty well on wood. And then we're going to be doing some tapping of threads. So some sort of thread tapping oil. Otherwise, I believe you can just use regular oil like WD-40 or something like that as well. I'm going to run a 9-foot ruler. Don't try using the 25 and 30 footers. They're just too cumbersome and they don't fit. They're hard to measure with those. So I've been using, basically on this one I could get by with a 6-foot as well. I need a 3/8 inch metal type drilling bit, drill bit that goes through metal. The better the better. I need a 17/64 drill bit. Again, same thing. It's going to go into metal. 17/64 is very important because that is what the hole size is, the pilot hole for a 5/16 tap, and we're going to do a tap. Of course, we're going to need some pencils, and it's even nice when you have tips on them. How about that? I'm going to need a couple of clamps, and these are just those small, I think these are 4s or 6s. They're 2-inch by 4-inch Bessies, and that's all you're going to need to just hold it together temporarily until we bolt it. You need a couple of drivers. You know, I like, I'm a Milwaukee fan, obviously, but you need a regular driver, you know, not just an impact. This is a regular driver, but it's really important that it has the button on it. And almost, I think all the 18 and 12 volts have that on it, the reverse forward on it. But you can use a 110 volt driver for tapping, but it does need to have that reverse on it, and some of those older ones don't have it. So I know I have a couple that don't. And then I do want an impact, and because we're going to be using this 1/2 inch a lot, and it's much better to have it with an impact. If we don't have an impact, you can also get by with one of these and then just set it to impact. So that's that. And then here's that tap. That's a 5/16 8 tap. And the better, the better. Again, if you buy cheap stuff, chances are it's going to break. They're very brittle. So there's basically everything that we're going to need to make one of these. And then once we make one of those, we'll be able to do all kinds of stuff with it.